We are all accustomed to a lack of wisdom in high places. But we have never before been treated to an exhibition of 27 heads of governments of many of the world's most advanced, and altogether delightful, countries in the world tripping over their own feet in their anxiety to see that the UK doesn't gain, and is not seen to gain, from having the effrontery to exercise its right to withdraw from the EU. During their meeting on May 24 to 25, the European Council reviewed the state of play. Relations with the UK, they ordained, can under no circumstances undermine the integrity of the single market, the customs union or the EU's decision-making autonomy. Hopelessly bureaucratic, ideological, and unhelpful though it is, this sweeping requirement could have been accommodated if the negotiations for our withdrawal had been conducted, as they should have been, in accordance with the provisions of Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty. But our partners weren't having that. Article 50, both in its own wording, and in its close links with other articles and aspects of the Lisbon Treaty as a whole, give far too much scope for the departing Brits to get themselves a fair deal. So they invented their own loaded guidelines, and insisted that these should be the sole basis of the negotiations for our withdrawal. The cover story for this chicanery was that our withdrawal had to be orderly. What does that mean? The guidelines don't say, of course, in fact all orderly means what suits us. How then are we to deal with the highly delicate question of Ireland under the joint constraints of the unconditional inviolability of the single market, and orderly UK withdrawal? The Belfast Agreement rules out any border on the Emerald Isle. That means there has to be a border under the sea between the Emerald Isle and the Sceptred Isle. No problem, in creating it we can look for the wise assistance of King Neptune. But what about the situation on dry land? The latest we hear is that the EU will react swiftly and resolutely if the UK unilaterally extends the grace period so that Irish shops can keep on selling British sausages. Well done, Brussels. More generally, in all my years as a multilateral diplomat, I have never seen anything as cold-blooded as Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol. Let me set out the full text of one particular paragraph. If the application of this protocol leads to serious economic, societal or environmental difficulties that are liable to persist, or to diversion of trade, the Union or the United Kingdom may take appropriate safeguards. A few rudimentary questions. Who decides that the application of the protocol leads to serious difficulties? How can you conscientiously judge whether they are likely to persist without waiting to see what actually happens, thus running the risk of locking the stable door after the horse has bolted? And what are we supposed to understand by the meaningless phrase appropriate safeguards? What are they? Who decides whether they are appropriate? Ridiculous though the content of Article 16 may be, it is as nothing when compared with the mindset which insisted on it. What scale of values is it which, in full knowledge of the complexity and the delicacy of the situation, can even contemplate the imposition of a regime so likely to lead to civil unrest, and even violence, that an extra article has to be added, supposedly validating emergency remedial action, but almost certainly provoking retaliation? The Northern Ireland Protocol is an assault on the basic human rights of the people of Northern Ireland. It is the direct consequence of the EU's determined refusal to accept its obligations under Article 50 to take account of the framework for our future relationship when negotiating our withdrawal agreement. The present situation is unsustainable. Everyone knows it. President Biden, we are told, is primed to urge Boris Johnson to go along with the EU's demands. He must have none of it. He should line the European leaders up and ask them a simple question: give me one good reason why you refused to negotiate with the UK on the basis of the established rules. The European leaders won't, because they can't. End of story. Sir Peter Marshall is a British diplomat who served as Commonwealth Deputy Secretary-General 1983 to 1988.